One of the most common questions that I get asked in comments of threads of folks that are interested in Revive is, can they start the process if they've got retainers or aligners or braces on? And my answer to that is, it's not going to work nearly as well. And that's because the teeth need to be able to move as part of this process. So let me explain today a bit better. First, let's remind ourselves of what Revive is. What does it do? So you can think of it as little by little, changing the skull in the body such that this curvacy gets better, so it gets more curved. The arches expand, right? The teeth start uprighting and they start untwisting, right? And all of this impacts the position of the teeth in the mouth, right? All those things. If you're just like locking them together with a retainer or braces, you're preventing that from happening, right? And there might be some improvement in the soft tissue, but I think a lot of it is going to be negated. The other thing I would say is, if you're doing Revive, Revive puts an expansive force on the soft tissue, right? So you can think of the soft tissue as like this balloon that's covering the jaw and the skull. And in a way, it's holding, like maybe your palate is a bit crushed and it's being held there by the soft tissue. So what Revive is meant to do is inflate this balloon that's covering it all so that this thing can crush. Right. And if the palate uncrushes, the teeth should, like arches should expand and teeth will have more real estate to sit straight. Right. So it shouldn't really, like, if you're doing Revive, it should have an expansive force. So like things should not get crushed, because things will get crooked again if, it's being crushed. But if it's being expanded outwards, then it shouldn't really get crooked. But, an exception is like, if your braces or your retainer are holding things in an artificial wrong position, then when the teeth move to where the skull actually wants them to be through this process, could they look a little bit strange for a little while? Yes. Right. And I don't know all those variations. There's probably a lot of different, depending on where your teeth were put by your orthodontist, for them to move from where they are now today in that unnatural position to where they should be, and migrating along with the other teeth. Like, there might be some times when you don't completely like the way it looks, right? But for me, that's a very small price to pay to fix your skull, your cognitive function, your neurological function, all these other things. Case study to look at really is like Maya brace. Like the kids that are using Maya brace, things are not getting crushed in. You look at the kid before and afters of Maya brace, like things generally always expand outwards. And so they've got years and years of history of doing that. And I remember this one lady that was in my TMJ related Facebook group that I started in 2017. And she posted something that always stuck in my mind. It was a picture of her arches. And she did Maya brace for about 8 or 9 months. And she did a little bit of myofunctional work. And she had her teeth were a little bit crooked, her arches weren't completely good, and then bang, 9 months of work and everything was in its almost perfect shape that you would want. And she did no braces or anything. And so when you see that an adult, because I think she was in her 30s, probably mid to late 30s, if an adult in her 30s can achieve that, why would you ever want to do braces and aligners, right? It's the way that she did it through the Maya brace was the natural way. It looked beautiful. The teeth looked beautiful. You could tell nothing artificial was done. Whereas the way that they do with braces, you're just temporarily putting something together that is going to fall apart. So some closing thoughts. Revive is not going to work as well if you're wearing braces or retainer or whatnot. But if you have a retainer on and, if it's a permanently stuck retainer, I tell folks, just go ahead and start Revive so you get accustomed to how it feels, the process. And then you can always take the decision to remove the retainer or whatever it is later on when you're kind of feeling confident and comfortable and engaging in the community for a while to see other stories. But it's important to say that you're taking that decision on your own, right? I never tell anyone, hey, do this, do that. I'm not a dentist, I'm not an orthodontist. I educate you, I give you my opinion, my facts, the facts from my perspective. And then you need to take those decisions on your own. And last thing I'd say is a lot of people, they'll maybe consult with their orthodontist and say, hey, my orthodontist says I need to keep my braces on for under 6 months, or I should keep my retainer on. My reaction to that is, what they have been taught is, to me, completely wrong. Orthodontics are completely wrong. So like, if everything that they've been taught and the whole idea of orthodontics and braces aligners is wrong, like, why do you care about their opinion? Because it's just flawed in my view. So, I understand that some folks paid a lot of money and they're vested into this treatment, but I personally I don't put much weight into anything that an orthodontist ever tells me anymore. I consider that profession almost like something that should not exist in 10 years. But that's me. Thank you.